Welcome back to Ginger of the Week. All right, I have a very special ginger for you. As you know, this is the segment of the show where I expose a ginger and cover its shame. This comes to us from Australia, and I'll read you an article about it. It comes to us from ABC. Woman sentenced for setting friend on fire during night of partying. A southern New South Wales woman has been sentenced to 7.5 years in prison for setting her friend on fire during a night out of heavy partying. How Long woman Corby Walpole poured petrol on Jake Loader and then set it alight while they were drinking in her backyard in January last year. Loader, who was 23 at the time, sustained third-degree burns to 55% of its body and was in an induced coma for 8 days. The Albury District Court heard Walpole, who worked as an electrician, attacked Loader after it told her to get back in the kitchen and not to drink with the boys. All right, I have a few things to say about this. Firstly, this is the problem when you outlaw when you discourage bullying in schools. Bullying is an essential aspect of stratification and stratification in society. How else can gingerkind learn their proper place if they are not bullied properly at school? Where does this ginger get off talking to a human woman like that? That is absolutely terrible. And if it had been properly bullied at school, it would know not to talk to her like that. However, she also needs to share in some of the blame. And I think 7.5 years prison is probably a fair enough result, because she went absolutely biblical on this ginger. As it says in the Bible, build a ginger a fire, you keep him warm for a day. Set a ginger on fire, and you keep it warm for the rest of its life. But that is improper gingerkind exposure, because the problem is, if you set a ginger on fire, it will run around a bit, and it might set fire to something else, something that you actually care about. So, in terms of ginger disposal, if one needs to be euthanized, do the right thing and take it to the vet and get it done professionally. As you guys know, I'm a liberal, tolerant kind of guy. An example of my liberalism is that I believe the burqa ought to be optional for Muslim women in public spaces. But my liberalism has limits, and I draw the line at gingerkind. I believe the burqa ought to be mandatory for gingers of both sexes, no matter what religion they practice. So with that in mind, both of this ginger and the inexpert ginger disposal criminal are getting the burqa treatment. It is time to cover its shame. All right, guys, that was Ginger of the Week. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to play a little bit more music. I've got one more article to come back with. You are watching Simon TV.